All right. Be honest with me so I know who I shouldn't call on today. How many people didn't watch the video yesterday? Okay. You're going to struggle today. Okay? And I have zero sympathy for you, just so you know. Well, I mean, but you were at least exposed to the concepts of how we're going to use it, because we're not going to use it 100% like was on the video, but you were at least exposed to it. Okay? All right? So for those of you that were honest, okay, video's still up there. If you're struggling, if you're on the struggle bus today, the video is still up there. Okay? All right. So what I want to do today is I want to take this regular standard form equation and I want to graph and give all of the key points of that concept. Okay? So first, before we dive into that, the first thing that we got to figure out is what kind of a conic it is. Who said ellipse? Why do you think it's an ellipse? So there's two squared terms, and the coefficients on those squared terms are different. Okay, that's two of the three things that would make it an ellipse. There's one other key part that differentiates it from an ellipse, a circle, and a hyperbola. It's added. The two squared terms are being added together. Because they could be, we have two squared terms. They could have different coefficients, and they could be subtraction. Now it's a hyperbola, okay, as opposed to an ellipse. Okay, all right. So first off, this is an ellipse. So being that it is an ellipse, that means in order for us to graph it, we need to get it in the form x minus h quantity squared all over a squared plus y minus k quantity squared all over b squared equals what? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rather large and lengthy equation and I'm going to split it up. I'm going to group it in so that like things are near each other. So I would first take this and I would say that this is 4x squared minus 48x. Then I'm going to leave myself a little gap plus y squared minus 14y. Then I'm going to leave myself a little gap, and I'm going to say that equals negative 189. Now, I'm going to run two completing the square. I'm going to run a completing the square on the x's, and I'm going to run a completing the square on the y's. Okay? So in order to run a completing the square on the x's, I first need to factor out a 4. Then I look at this number here from the video yesterday. I divide it by 2. Negative 12 divided by 2. And then I do what with it? Square it. What's negative 6 squared? 36. So this gap here gets filled with positive 36. If I were to go back up a step, what would this gap here be filled with? throw another 4 on it. You had, what? You had 140. 144. Why is that gap filled with 144? Because that's before we take the 4 out. That 36 is inside this parenthesis. That parenthesis being controlled by 4. So 36 times 4 is 144. But now what have I done to my equation? I've unbalanced it. So how do I rebalance it? Add 144 over here. Okay? So this then would become 4 times x minus 6 quantity squared. Now I look at this number. Negative 14 divided by 2 is? Do what with negative 7? Square it. What is the square of negative 7? 49. But now what have I done? Unbalanced. So to rebalance, add 49 over there. This part right here becomes y minus 7 quantity squared. And what is that equal to? Yeah, you tell me. No, negative 189 plus 144 plus 149. 4. Getting closer, at least now I've got parentheses, right? How do I get it equal to 1? I divide everything by 4. So the general form of this conic, what's 4 divided by 4? 1. So that would be x minus 6 quantity squared. I'm going to write it over 1 just so we see it in the ellipse form. Okay? Now, what can you tell me about this ellipse? What can you tell me? The center is at 6, 7. I would agree that the center of this ellipse is at 6, 7. 2, 4, actually let me move this down a little bit here first. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 7. What else? Left and right? It's going to be 1. Yep. Up and down is 2. It's a nice little teeny tiny one. What else can you tell me now? Where are the vertices? What else can you tell me about it? What are the foci? So it's what? 6 comma. Anything else? Nope. That's it. That's the 5 things that we needed, along with the graph. Based off of now, we're giving it to you in this form. Okay? So we're converting from between forms of our conics and figuring out what's what. Let's try another one. First things first. 1, you should write it down. And 2, we should figure out what it is. Why? Of what? Squared term coefficients are the same. That's one of the 3 classifications that we need. There's 2 squared terms. That's the second one. And Shelby, what did you have? It's addition in between them. Yep. Okay. So those are the 3 classifications for that, which then tells me that yes, this is a circle. So we need it in the form that form. First thing you're going to do is kind of group it and space it out and reshuffle it, make it look nice and pretty. Okay? So we've got x squared plus 16x, leave a gap, plus y squared minus 10y, leave a gap, equals 11. Okay? Complete the square of this one. What am I looking at? Looking at 16. I do what with it? Divide it by 2, then square it. What's 16 divided by 2, then squared? 64. So I'm going to have to add 64 there, which means add 64 there to rebalance it. This one then becomes x plus 8 quantity squared. Actually, okay. Then we go to this one. Divide by 2 and square. 25. Which means I got to put a 25 over there. What is this one? What is the green factor to be? What is the green factor to be? Y minus 5 quantity squared. And what's that all equal to? 100. Okay. What can you tell me about this circle? What else? Radius is 10. So we've got the center at -8, 2 and 4 and 6 and 8, 2 and 4 and 5. Oops, that's my center right there. And then we've got 10s in every direction. 10, 2, 10. And one's kind of off the graph, isn't it? Ooh, my graph isn't to scale. I don't want to use that one. That's squared. Put little gaps in mine just because then I want to go through the work for people that might use it at home. Okay? Big one. Off the graph. I know, off the graph. Me old math teacher. All right, you're going to do it all now. So what is this? It's a parabola. Why is it a parabola? It only has one squared term. Okay? So since it only has one squared term, that means that it is one, a parabola, and two, it is, we only have to do one completing the square. And so we're going to get the y squared minus the 10y, then we're going to leave a gap, and then that's going to be 20x plus 15, because in this particular case, this one is going to look like y minus k quantity squared equals plus or minus 4p times x minus h. Okay. Negative 10 divided by 2, negative 5 squared, 25. So this gap gets filled with 25, which means that I have to add 25 to that side. This side becomes, actually, y minus 5 quantity squared equals 20x plus 40. So in the end, this is y minus 5 quantity squared equals 20 times the quantity x plus 2. What can you now tell me about that parabola? P is 5. Okay. What else? The vertex is where? Negative 2 comma 5. If P is 5, what else can you tell me? Focus is where? Should be on your supplemental sheet. Negative 210 for the focus. One agreement on negative 210. Not the important person that agreeing with negative 210. That being me. What do you want to change it to? First off, let's decide which way does it open. Opens to the right. So that means that the focus is to the right, which would be at the point 3 comma 5. what else can you tell me? The directrix is what? X equals -7, because remember the directrix is a line. But it would go through -7, 5. Okay. What else? Need the width. 10 each way, 10 up, 10 down from the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ooh, I gotta go way up here now. Up. Okay. What else can you? Oops, we can draw it in now. One more thing. What is the axis of symmetry? Good. Let's do one more. What do you think it's going to be? Hyperbola. Hyperbola. Go for it. Let me read it. Yeah. 16x squared minus 9y squared minus 96x plus 36y equals 36. Mm-hmm. I saw you Snapchat. Oh yeah, I saw it. All right, here we go. So we all know it's a hyperbola, right? Two squared terms, subtraction of one of them. It's an x squared one, so then that's going to be x minus h quantity squared all over a squared minus y minus k quantity squared all over b squared equaling 1. All right, let's do this. 16 x squared minus 96x gap minus 9. Oops, I put parentheses there. A little early on that. Minus 9y squared plus 36y. Leave a gap equals 36. I'm looking at this one. I'm going to factor out a 16. Leaves me with x squared minus 6 minus 6x. Okay? 6, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is positive 9. So I'm going to add 9 there. But really I'm adding, nope. 9 times 16 is 144. Okay. Here, I'm going to factor out a negative 9, and that's going to give me y squared minus 4y. See it? Okay. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2 squared is positive 4. But really, with the purple, what am I adding to the left side? Negative 36. So then this one becomes 16 times x minus 3 quantity squared. The green one becomes negative 9 times y minus 2 quantity squared. And that's going to equal 144. 36 plus 144 minus 36. Okay. Hyperbolas are equal to 1, so I have to divide everything by 144. So I get x minus 3 quantity squared all over 9 minus y minus 2 quantity squared all over 16 equals 1. And now we go. Okay? Center. Left and right on the box. 3. You're welcome. Why is it you're welcome? Edge of the box is on the y-axis.
Oh.
Asymptotes will be easy to find. Up and down. 4. So my asymptotes are, who's this one? So what's the slope of my asymptotes? 4/3? Plus and minus? So one of them is going to be y equals positive 4/3 x minus 2. The other one is going to be negative 4/3 x plus 6. Which way does this hyperbola open? Left and right, because it's x squared first. So if it opens left and right, my two vertices are going to be here and here. That's 0, 2. And 6, 2. Allows me to draw it in. Last thing we would have would be foci. C squared is a squared plus b squared. So C is going to be 5. So my foci are at negative 2, 2 and 8, 2. I know. Good times though. So, on your homework now, your task on the front side is you have to put them into the general form. All 10 of those in the general form. Okay? So the front side. Let's put this, where's the screen? There's the screen sheet. The front side is all of that work. Okay? Right here. You got to do that for all 10 of them. On the back side, you're going to take one parabola from the front side and graph it, give me all the points. One circle from the front side, graph it, give me all the points. One ellipse from the front side, graph it, give me all the points. One hyperbola from the front side, graph it, give me all the points. You get to pick which one you want of those, but you got to do one of each one, and that's all of this extra stuff. Okay? One of those. So you only have to do one of each one on the back side. Okay?